Okay, so this is a tutorial on how to get the MB Lab characters from Blender to work with the ARKit using a add-on called Faceit. And there isn't any documentation out there that shows quite in depth as this video as of right now. With that said, the creator of Faceit, he has some great videos out there, and without his videos, this video would mean nothing. Anyway, so I'm gonna go over how to add the AR kit. As you can see, also in Unreal Engine, I have this character using the AR kit on NB Lab character. I've replaced the skin texture and the hair shader and its dynamic groom hair and eye shader. Anyway, in a different tutorial, I'll cover how to do some of that stuff. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy tutorial because it's a lengthy process, which is the reason why I hadn't made this video sooner, because I ran into some issues with the process. Okay, so I'm going to use this character, which I made some months ago. And normally you wouldn't want to make the hair before adding I wouldn't recommend making the hair on your character until after everything's rigged up, face, body, etc. Because it can create some issues because you can't bring particles outside of Blender too easily. So we're going to have to ditch the rig because rigs don't work with this Faceit add-on rigging process. So to do that very quickly, we're going to go new collection here. So right click.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Surrey. So right there, Surrey was spying on me. Okay, so we're going to call this Faceit. And then we're going to go click on our mesh. We're going to go to export. We're going to go to FBX. We're going to click on only the mesh, selected objects, geometry. We want to uncheck apply modifiers. The reason why we want to do that is blend shapes are modifiers, and if we were to get rid of our modifiers by applying them, it would make this process a lot harder. We want to uncheck the leaf bones, and then we want to find a location to export this to. So I'm just going to go to Faceit folder that I made. I'm just going to do V2 as it's my second attempt at making this video. And now we want to re-import that. So let's click on this group that we made. We go to File, we go to Import, we go to FBX, then we find where we saved that, and we click on the File, Import. Okay, so the character loads, he has no textures. This is an easy way of fixing that. We click on the character that has no textures, shift click on the character that does have textures, we Control L, and then we go to materials. So that's copying materials over. We can go ahead and hide our original rig. How to get the hair back onto this character, I'll show in a different tutorial, either in here or in Unreal Engine. But it doesn't carry over too easily without a separate process. Anyway, this video is just focusing on getting the AR kit working with Faceit. Okay, so basically what we want to do from this point is we want to isolate the vertices in edit mode that are needed for generating what we need. So the eyes have to be separate, the upper teeth have to be separated, the lower teeth have to be separated, and the tongue has to be separated, all into separate vertex groups. So the easiest way we go is faces, then we go to X-ray mode so we can select all the way through the mesh. And I like using the lasso tool. You can use whichever you like. And let's get everything gone except the head. So select stuff, hit H, so we're hiding it. We can unhide it later. So let's just hide it, and hide it. So this is a lengthy process because there's some fine detailed stuff that we have to make sure we don't hide, which could create an issue for us. So we want to stay away from the tongue and the mouth and stuff, and the eyes. Because if we hide those, then we have to undo a bunch of times, and that's a pain. So this process is pretty quick. It's not the quickest process imaginable, but it's the quickest process that might be in existence for creating blend shapes for characters, and this will work for other characters beyond MB Lab characters in general. And if you want to keep your character in Blender after this, you're going to not delete the eyes, which I'm going to actually delete the eyes at a certain point, not right away, because I actually need to scale my replacement eyes to these eyes, because I'm bringing it into Unreal Engine and giving it photorealistic eyes, so I need a different eye mesh for that, which I'll bring in. Also, we can turn off X-ray now that we're working on fine detail, because we don't want things getting selected through the mesh at this point. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of time. So basically, I'm making sure that nothing in the eyeballs are selected, and I'm taking away this front skin, and I'm taking away this here to expose the teeth and the mouth. And then after that, I'll show you more. So if you want to jump ahead, you can. Otherwise, you can just watch me go through the process. It takes a little while. It's getting in closer, and I'm getting rid of the eyelashes, eyebrows, aspects of the face. Just being careful not to actually get the eyes. And at some point, maybe even early on, you might want to go inside the eyes and get rid of the parts of the mesh that naturally penetrate the eyes. And we're just trying to go quick, but we're trying to go careful. Because if you hide the wrong thing, that can create a problem if you can't undo it within a few steps. You might have to redo a lot. If anyone knows a way to selectively unhide things without undoing it, like say I hid this and I don't want this hid, I'm just going to undo that. But if you know a way to unhide something like that without using undo selectively, please let me know, because that would help me out if I ever make a mistake. So as I'm doing this process, I may tell you some thoughts I have on character creation, just because you might find it interesting. And these thoughts will be, in other video tutorials. But essentially, say you want to get a character working in Unreal Engine for mocap, Rococo suit, iPhone, all that. I've been finding that for the faceit process, as you can see, you want to mesh, no rig, no particle hair to begin with, no clothes or anything like that, even though clothes probably don't matter. Then you want to get this step of the process I'm doing done, and after this step of the process is done, then before rigging anything, you're probably going to want to make clothes for your character. And I use, what do I use? Marvelous Designer. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Okay, so now we have this one eye separated. We want to go back into X-ray mode and select around the whole eye. So that is the right eye. So we want to go into this right here, which is the open data properties, vertex groups, add a vertex group, change its name. So this is going to be right underscore I, and I add an extra Y, so why would I do that? Okay, so then with all that selected, nothing else highlighted, you want to go assign, click in the black space, go ahead and hit select again. The reason I did that is to test to make sure it's working, to make sure it was actually assigned. So these vertexes are assigned to that vertex group, so now all we have to do is hit H and hide that eye so it's not in our way. We're going to do the same to the other eye as we can, and let's turn off X-ray mode so that we don't make mistakes easier. So you make your clothes in Marvelous Designer. If you want the highest end look, you're going to simulate your clothes in Marvelous Designer after you do 100% of everything else, but that's not practical if you want real-time production at a fast pace. So what you're going to want to do is make your clothes, bring them into Blender, which I'll make a separate clothes tutorial, and make sure that the mesh is not penetrating the clothes or anything. You may want to even make your clothes a tiny bit bigger than what they were exported from Marvelous Designer is, so that in Unreal Engine there's less chance of problems. So this is theoretical about the clothes, about doing it before getting your character rigged. Because my thoughts on this is you get your clothes, you get your eyes, you bring them into Mixamo with your character, and then you rig them all together. I have run some issues when rigging with clothes to Mixamo where the fingers are not aligned properly. So I'm gonna actually have to go, I'm hitting Control Z because I deleted something I shouldn't have. Not deleted, but hid. So, yeah, I'm rambling, but it's useful stuff, some of it anyway. Mixamo tends to mess up the finger rigging if you have clothes on your character with the MB Lab character, with the way that I'm doing it. So either you have to bring your character back into Blender after rigging it, and then adjust the rig, which, if that process works properly, I will be doing a tutorial for that soon. If it's problematic, another thing I could try is rig your character, then make your clothes. Rig your character with the eyes, with the blend shapes and everything. Make your clothes, bring them both into Blender, then save them now as an FBX with all that selected, and bring that into Unreal Engine together. If you bring in separately, I know there's an issue where if you're doing this for animation purposes, it's difficult to get the clothes to be recognized as clothes, which could be a problem. If you can bring them in together, that may be ideal, so I'll let you know soon. In which case you wouldn't want to rig the clothes together with the character, because when you rig your character, the arm positions and certain positions of your character change, even though your character was originally in the T-pose. The T-pose is not the same anymore after rigging with Mixamo, which can create clothing penetration issues with the character mesh, which is problematic. You don't want that. Okay, just like the other eye, now we're going to turn on X-ray mode. We're going to make sure nothing's selected. Then we're going to select everything on the eye. And then we're going to create another under same tab again, object data, plus. We're going to give this vertex group another name. So we'll call this one left underscore eye. Assign, click into the empty space. And yeah, it works. So then let's go ahead and hit H for hide. At this point, let's go ahead and save out a version in case we mess something up. So I like hitting a V and then a number in front of that, so I know exactly the order of things created. And let's just separate the mouth and that stuff now. So I have a little bit more testing to do, because I'm sharing things as I'm learning. I did some heavy testing with the Faceit add-on to make sure it works, because I ran into so many problems. That's not to say that there's problems with Faceit. It's to say that there's a certain way of using Faceit that works great and amazing, but things like if you had a rig on your character, for example, it just doesn't work, which is fine. You can get rid of your rig and rig and all that kind of stuff. So just knowing the process is important. So I'm being extra careful here, even though I'm tempted to, take out huge amounts of vertices at once with the hiding. And let's see if I messed anything up. Yeah, might have. So let's just undo. Might not have, I'm not sure. But just important to be careful about that. Again, this is a longer, lengthier video than most of my videos because I'm showing you nitty-gritty steps on a longer process. And let's turn off X-ray mode because, again, X-ray mode can cause problems. So just H. And let's make sure that's, it's fine. So our blend shapes that are originally generated with MB Labs will help our selection process of the upper teeth and the tongue on this mesh. So that's a huge benefit of having an MB Lab character versus a character that has no blend shapes to begin with, because the no blend shape version would take longer to select things unless your teeth mesh and your eye mesh and your tongue mesh are separate meshes. MB Lab is all one mesh as far as I can tell. If there is a way of selecting this stuff separately, MB Lab stuff, please let me know if someone knows in the comments, without having to actually go in and make vertex groups. Yeah. meshes. Okay, so with the MBU lab characters, there's usually a couple hiding below the tongue. I think like 4 of them. So if you go here, yeah, you can see there's 4 of them. Just get rid of those. Just make your life easier. Okay, so now what we want to do is in edit mode, not object mode. You want to go ahead and go to where your blend shapes are, so shape keys. They're called blend shapes in other programs, I think Unreal Engine or addon. Anyway, so go ahead and click here, and you can use the arrow key to go down, and then just look for a blend shape, which I'm going real fast, that has the mouth all the way open. Okay, that one looks good. So mouth open, max, yeah. So what you want to do here is you want to go to X-ray mode again, right here, and you want to select with shift the whole top section, and I find that this bit here you also want, so it's the top bit and then 1, 2 groupings down you want for the top teeth vertex group section. And yeah, you may have to rotate around your mesh because there's some curvature going on. Control Z if you accidentally forget to hit down shift. And see, I missed one there. Or, see, you may have to rotate around to. Okay, so if it's not selecting correctly, just turn off X-ray mode, and then you should be able to go in and shift select individual things. So yeah, that looks good. So you want that. Then you want to go up here to the vertex group and add another vertex group, and I'm just going to call this upper teeth. Upper underscore teeth. And then you want to go ahead and assign this. And then click in the empty space, hit select, and yeah, it worked. So you can go ahead and hit H to hide that vertex group. So now you want to, back in your blend shapes, you want to find one with the tongue sticking like really up. Like, yeah, like one of these. Probably that one might be the best. So tongue vertex max or something like that. Okay. So you want to go ahead and shift select this. It'll take a couple minutes to get it all. You want to make sure you actually don't get the mouth at all, just things that are related to the tongue at this point, which this stuff here is. You can look closely and you can see that the texture of the mouth and tongue is different, but then also they're almost separate objects, or they're sort of separate objects, but they're not. And you don't want X-ray mode on for this part of the process. I think they actually might be separate objects, but there's no, I don't know how to separate the two things, the tongue and the mouth. Okay, you can see in here I've selected something I shouldn't, so shift select to unselect that. So these corners here, right here and here, you want to select, that's part of the tongue mesh. So let's see, under the tongue, there's a few, and then you want to unselect, you know, things that you've accidentally selected. You want to angle that, see what's missing, and again right there. Then maybe look beneath, and yeah, there's a few missing there. Probably on the other side, there's a few. that might actually be it all. So one way of testing if it's all, just hit H, you hide it, and oh, I hid some of the teeth. That's bad. That's really bad. Okay, so I'm gonna undo, and oh man, I don't know how to undo that. It's not good. Okay, so in this case, considering I'm hidden some of the teeth and I don't know a way of undoing that, instead of undoing like a ton, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna actually worry about that right this minute. I'll go back and I'll fix that. I'll show you a way that is not the greatest way, but it works. Okay, so we have the tongue selected, and we'll make sure this stuff isn't selected. One thing I'm worried about is, did this get selected with the upper teeth? Because that would be a problem. Anyway, I'll have to check back. But I guess this is a good way of me showing you how to fix things if they're really off. So if we go H, so it's only that one piece of the tooth that's missing. So Control Z. So let's make another vertex group, and we'll go ahead and call this, what are we calling this, tongue? Tongue, assign, let's go ahead and select it, and we'll go ahead and hit H. So now we have to fix what's missing here. So I think the easiest way of doing this, which isn't great, is to unhide everything. So Control H, so everything's unhid. And we're gonna have to actually redo some of this process, but not everything. Some of it we can skip. So let's go ahead and X-ray it. Let's get rid of the body real quick. H. We'll be able to skip a lot of the process because we have some vertex groups made, which we can use to hide some of the stuff. So we don't need the X-ray mode anymore, and just get that out of the way. Just trying to get the majority out of the way so that, okay, so that's why you want X-ray mode on for the ears especially. Anyway, we won't have to fine tune, so we don't need to worry about the eyes because we already have those in the vertex groups. Actually, undo. I want to check the eyes to make sure the eyes don't have part of that tooth in the vertex group. It's unlikely, but it's best to check. So go to the right eye, hit select, and let's try to see. Yeah, nothing selected down there, so we can click in the empty space. Let's go to the left eye, let's go select. It looks like the eyes aren't controlling the teeth at all, so we can go ahead and hide this whole section. So we know that the tongue is okay, so let's go to the tongue and let's hit select, and let's make sure it doesn't have that tooth in it at all, which is actually a little bit hard to tell under the circumstances, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. So let's go ahead and hide the tongue. So it's probably honestly in the upper teeth. So the upper teeth, let's go ahead and pick a blend shape with the mouth open. So we'll see if we can locate what's going on. Okay, that one looks pretty good. Yeah, so it's in the upper teeth. Essentially what we want to do is See what happens if I just go in and unselect what is selected that we don't want selected. Okay, so the problem here is I'm in X-ray mode and things are getting selected through the mesh. So I'll just unselect any of this stuff. To be honest, this skin around the mouth, I probably should be selecting the upper half and assigning it with the teeth of the upper half, and the lower half and assigning with the teeth of the lower half. I haven't been doing that because I don't think it's all that necessary. But if someone wants to try it out and see if it works better than what I'm doing, feel free. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like that's good now. I'm hoping it is. Again, it's kind of hard to tell without hiding more stuff. But I think that's good. So I think the easiest way would be just to make another upper teeth vertex group. So we'll do V2 upper teeth, and we'll go ahead and assign that, and then we'll delete the one that we made before, so we'll minus it. And let's just click out of here, and then oh wait, that's the I vertex group. Okay, so let's go ahead and select. Yeah, so it seems to be there. Let's go ahead and hide that and see what happens. So H, so that's hidden. And then if we hide everything else that we hid before, so we might want X-ray mode on for this part. Just be careful not to get close to the teeth. So in theory, all the teeth are there now. So if we just get rid of all this stuff, we can create that vertex group. So it'll just take a couple minutes. So you see hiding one little thing added like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something to this process or more. Hiding the wrong thing. And not having an easy way of unhiding it. Ooh, okay. So you see right there, it's because the X-ray mode's on. X-ray mode can be problematic if you hide the wrong stuff. Oops. So I accidentally hit a key, shortcut key. So we just went back into the shader mode. So we're almost done here. This stage of the process. Okay, so the only thing I want to do is just go through a couple blend shapes to make sure, see, there's one hiding within the teeth. Okay, so go through a couple more blend shapes just to make sure nothing, yeah, so it's good. Okay, so that's ready. So what we want to do is just make X-ray mode, make sure everything's selected, good. Go ahead and add a plus, and this is the lower score teeth, and we'll assign that, and yeah, it works. So you could hide it, well, select that vertex group and then hide it, and that works. Okay, so let's unhide everything. So if I did everything correct, we should be good. So let's turn off X-ray mode. Let's go back into object mode. Let's save before we do anything else, because if something else gets messed up in the process, which there could be, that could be a problem. Okay, so at this point, in faceit, you're going to assign the body object, which is the main mesh. And then you go in and select individual vertex groups from here in edit mode, and then assign them here, which I'll show you in a second. I'm not going to do that for the eyes. The eyes would be the same process that we're going to do for the tongue and the teeth. I'm actually deleting the eyes because I'm replacing the eyes. Before I delete the eyes, I'm gonna get the replacements for the eyes. Yeah. So we want to make sure we're in the faceit folder. If you're going to give your character photorealistic eyes in Unreal Engine, you want to do this. Import FBX, and I downloaded online a mesh. You can get them from all kinds of websites, photorealistic eye meshes, and this is the one I have. You can also get it from one of the Unreal Engine projects. So it brings it down here at the origin point. So let's change to navigator, not navigator, but thing to move it. And let's get in position. And we actually do want X-ray mode on to see either X-ray mode or wireframe, one of the two, to see where things are placed. And as you can see, the eye mesh in this case is a little too small, so I'm just going to scale it up under item and deselect, reselect. And then under scale, I think something along the lines of this might work. Depending on your face size of your character, you may have to do a different number. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm just going to throw into all the slots. And we'll see if that is approximately the same size or not. Doesn't have to be exact, but you want it pretty close. Okay, so this character has a little bit bigger eyes than one of my other characters. So let's just replace that 5 at the end with a 6 in this case. And we'll see if that did it. Pretty close. Okay, so we just want to make it a tiny bit bigger. I'm just gonna throw like a 2 at the end of all that. And honestly, it's not quite there yet. Let's go up to 5. And that might be borderline too big, but we'll see. Or it might be pretty close to perfect. Yeah, I think it's pretty close to perfect in this particular instance. Yeah, I think it's good enough. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. So our eye object, we're going to want to name that. I'm going to name it left eye for obvious reasons. And then we want to duplicate that, so just go Control C, Control V, and then drag it over. And as you can see in mine, iMesh, it has like a little pattern going on. I personally like to make sure that the pattern is kind of somewhat over the pupil correctly. I might even readjust the eye and bring it down a little because that looks more correct to me. And the way the MB Lab does it, where it's a little extra high. Okay, so then again, I'll probably bring that down a little too. Yeah, something like that. But because we want them at the same height level, oops, I'm gonna undo that. Let's go ahead and delete the second eye we made. And we'll reduplicate it so that the height level of the eyes are consistent. So I'm dragging one of the eyes over. And now we just want to check. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Just checking the location of the eye middle. Seeing if it's, you know, to my liking. Back a tiny bit. Okay, so that looks about good. Maybe a tiny bit back over. Okay, so that's probably good. Now, one thing I like doing is going into edit mode with your main mesh selected, not the eyes. And I like going through the blend shapes, some of the eye ones real quick. So let's scroll up, they're usually kept towards the top, to see if anything penetrates the eyes, like if the eyes penetrate wrong, because they're not exact same as the others. So honestly, they look good, but I do know from experiences, even if they look good, often if they're in the exact placement of the MB Lab eyes, they're a little too far forward, like they get selected in a bad way. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both our eye meshes, and we're just going to bring it back a little bit. So you want to make sure you're in not a sideways. You want to make sure you're in profile mode, like the actual profile mode, not like in perspective. So we'll go to profile, and then let's just drag these back a little bit. And let's hope that's enough. I might even go a tiny bit more. If you drag it back too far, it'll look strange. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Okay, so that much probably won't create problems for us. So now we want to go ahead and label the right eye, which is this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide these eyes for a second. Let's just save this out once more. Not a new version, but you know, so you have the option of going between the eyes. And then we're going to go and click on our main mesh. We're going to click on edit. We're going to go to our vertex group for right eye. We're going to go select. We're going to go to the delete key, faces. Then we're going to click in emptiness and go left eye, hit select, and hit the delete key and go to faces. Then we're going to go back into object mode. So now there's no eyes. We'll unhide these eyes. and then we'll save out a new version. Let's just make sure there's no funny business going on. Yeah, there's no funny business. Okay, so let's go to save as. My naming system's not good. Okay, so I'm just gonna call this faceit. Underscore. Okay, now it's good. Okay, so now we can actually start the actual faceit process. The character's prepared for Unreal Engine. So you click faceit, and I'm just hitting clear there because I had registered the main mesh before I deleted the eyes, and that could cause a problem maybe. Okay, so register face object, which is the whole body. Then we're going to go to register secondary, but before that we click on the eyes. So one eye is a secondary, other eye is a secondary. Then let's go to the left eye first. Let's go to edit. Let's click into the abyss. Oh, so both are selected right now for some reason. We're in the main mesh. That's not good. Let's go to object mode. Okay, so you want to go into edit mode, but only with the eye selected, left eye, not with everything. Edit mode. And then you want to go to X-ray and make sure everything's selected on the X-ray for that eye. And then you go ahead and hit left eye. So it created a new vertex group within the eye. And then we go to object, and then we click the right eye, and then we go to edit mode, and then we select it all and make sure it's all selected, which X-ray mode helps with that. And then we go right eye and create the vertex group. And then we go to object, we select the main object, then we go to edit mode, and then we drag this up. Let's get out of, actually maybe we'll stay in it. Stay in X-ray mode. So now we can see kind of what's going on with the face here. We want to go to upper teeth, the second version I created. Go ahead and hit select. Then we go upper teeth here, and it creates a special named vertex group. Select in the abyss. Then lower teeth, select, then hit lower teeth here, and then select the abyss, then go click on your tongue, select the tongue, and then click on your tongue here. So as long as our vertex groups were correctly selected in the beginning, this should work, no problem from here. So then we go back into object mode, and then we go to rig, generate landmarks. Then you align this to the bottom of the chin, and you line this approximately with the eyes, and then you want to go from faces to vertex selection, and you want to go to your move tool, and we just want to adjust this a little bit. This, how I'm adjusting it, will work for you well. If you know of a way to make it work more accurate, feel free to let me know. I'm aligning the eye with the eyelashes, the bottom of them, where it connects to the face. So this will just take a minute, but it's important to line things up correctly. And the way I'm doing it, it's pretty good. You want to stay in profile mode for this first part, and get these towards the corner of the nose. You want this point to be at the bottom of the nose, and this to be at the tip of the nose. And let's see, what else do we want? We want this to go down to almost the bottom of the chin, and we want these to go out to the edges of the face, and then almost the edges. You know, you don't want it going onto the ear or anything like that, and then maybe to the hairline, and then I think from here we just go to project, and now we can turn on some shading so we can get a better idea of what's going on. Let's drag this back to almost the ear. Again, we can drag this back, and we can drag it down for our jawline. Might be able to see it easier without the shading. Thing that you want the shading mainly for is the eyebrows, to know the correct alignment for your particular character for the eyebrows. So, and then also you can kind of see the hairline. So it's like, okay, there's the hairline. You don't really need to have it run to the hairline, and see like the ears. Okay, you may not want to go 100% back. Okay, so that's pretty good, but you can see like the eyebrows here, they need to go up a little, my character. Yeah. So let's just bring it up a little bit. Let's get closer to make sure it's good. Yeah, something like that. So let's just give it a quick look over. It's like the forehead. Could I go all the way up to this part of the face? Yeah, but I don't think the wrinkles normally affect that part of the face in the character. The only other thing before moving on to the next step, I believe, would be the neckline. So let's go in the side view. There's usually... Okay, so this one's supposed to go out here, and this one's supposed to go down, I believe. But not that far down, like somewhere around there. And this goes all the way to, I think, the neck bend. I believe that's about right. Okay, so... Oh, okay, there's one other thing I have to do. Totally missed it. Let's go into front view. And let's go ahead and select these points for the mouth. Let's bring them down. So the top ones, you kind of want them towards the middle-ish of... The top 3 points towards the middle-ish. And these side ones, you want it kind of like at the edges of the mouth, but slightly past, as far as I can tell. And then again, the bottom ones you want towards the middle-ish, not quite up to the middle, you know. And I think that'll work pretty good. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so then... Oh, nose. Tiny bit more in the nose. We just... See, I messed it up. You kind of want to drag things on the side that has the arrows, not the other side. And you may want to even go into profile mode, not perspective. So you want to adjust that to about that position, and the nose, you know, more of the tip. Oh, forgot about this too. You want to get this down to the bridge, nose bridge area, somewhere about there. And then you want to bring this up to about there. So yeah, it's a good thing I double check things a bit, because those are small things, but they definitely do affect the quality of the results that we're going to get. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, one more thing. See? Right here. Let's go ahead into the side view again. Let's say more like there-ish. That's where we want it. And we could actually bring this one up a little. Not sure how far, more like there. Okay. So there's a lot of things you can miss if you're rushing. But now that looks good to me. Let's double check the eyebrows. Yeah, the eyebrows are pretty good. You know, I'm not sure if extending these points all the way out to the very end of the eyebrows would be beneficial. I haven't done enough testing with that to know. Okay, so now you want to go back into object mode, and then you want to go to generate rig. Let's go straight on. Yeah. Let's go generate rig. And then you want to go bind, which binds the main mesh to the rig. And it'll take a second. Okay, so now bind secondary. So this is binding the eyes if you replace the eyes. No secondary object, it says, but it actually did bind it. And the way you test this at this point, you can drag through the timeline, and you can see that the eye meshes are moving and the main mesh is moving. And if you drag this over here, so we can go through the full test motion, you can make sure that the eyes don't act funny, like there's no funny business going on. Yeah, it doesn't penetrate the eyes, or the eyes don't penetrate the skin. Okay, so it looks good. So I'm just gonna go back to frame, I guess 1. And then we're gonna go to animate. Animate, you can adjust the blend shapes from my understanding, but I've never really had to deal with that. Let's go to bake, and then I'm going to go and save one more version, and I'll tell you why in a second. So at this point you can bake the blend shapes if you wanted, but before baking them, I actually want to get rid of the pre-existing blend shapes, and I have my reasons. So I'm selecting my mesh, and you want to start with the bottom one, and you want to end with basic. You don't want to end with any other than basic. The reason I'm deleting mine is, in some of my testing, I think having extra blend shapes, if the blend shapes aren't in the right order, can mess up the animation process with the iPhone, but I'm not 100% sure. This was a while ago that I tested that. Another thing is, I'm trying to do a mocap only process. I'm trying not to tempt myself to use these blend shapes for subtle animation. You might want to hold on to your blend shapes, but it could cause you problems. I'm not sure. That's why I'm saving it out, so that I can go back before baking if I need those blend shapes and use them. So the very bottom blend shape, just delete all of them. Just delete all of your blend shapes. Make sure basic's the last one, because whatever one's your last one will kind of control the position of the default state of your face. So it's a lot of clicking. And bang. So after that, you can go ahead and hit Bake ARKit, and it takes a second, and now we can test that. So let's go into, let's say, edit mode, and let's go back to faces, and then let's just scroll through them. And the eyelashes aren't completely like moving with the mesh perfectly, but it's kind of a subtle thing. So if you know of a way to get the eyelashes on, let me know. Yeah, but you barely notice it. Like, maybe the position of my rigging points or something should have been different. Anyway, so the AR kit's here now. And the that's a 1. Let's turn that off. So let's go ahead and save a new version of this. Okay. So at this point, that's kind of the end of this video. You have your AR kit, you have it on your character. It was a lengthy process, but a good process. Next step would be to rig this in Mixamo, or to add clothes, or to add hair. But if you're bringing it into Unreal Engine, you don't have to put the hair back onto this mesh. You can bring it from your old mesh, because you bring it as a separate object, and the old mesh is still in the same project, so yeah. Anyway, so that's it for this video.